planet Earth, and welcome to episode number 96 of the Comic Watchers Show. I'm your host, Matt Meyer. With me, as always, Nicholas Osborne, Mighty Mike Eakins. Gentlemen, how are we this week?
Good. Can't complain. Kind of humid. Well, it's the East Coast, you know. We're not getting ravaged by a hurricane, so we're good. Right. At least yet. Our turn is definitely coming probably later in the year, but we're good over here.
Nick, I know you just kind of barely missed the path of Hurricane Laura. You doing okay?
Yeah, definitely. It came through earlier in the morning and made sure to do enough to knock our power out, but otherwise we're doing pretty good here.
That sounds like a Tuesday in Oklahoma. Power randomly going out. But you know, to any of our listeners out there that are affected by this storm, our hearts go out to you. We wish you all the best and all the safety in the world. And you know, if you want to just reach out and, you know, just to give yourself a little solace, to take your mind off things, to talk about comics, movies, you know, whatever, just reach out to us. We're cool. We want to talk. We want to hang.
Sure.
So yeah, and so this week we have a DC double header. We're talking about DC Fandome and Batman 3 Jokers #1. So there's a lot of news to cover from Fandom, but first we're going to get into regular news with Scoop Johnson.
That's right. The Fandom just ended, just wrapped up. A lot of good stuff came out of it, but definitely don't want to spoil it for the new segment. We're going to wait and talk about it in the regular stuff. So anyway, boom, excuse me, got the first look at 7 Secrets 2 on the website. Yeah, I mean, you know, big news, big book.
Yeah, I seem to recall we kind of liked that comic by Tom Taylor.
Little bit. And yeah. And I think issue 1, I think we even talked about issue 1 getting that second print. Right. So yeah, congrats to the whole team over there. Dark Horse. Now this is really cool. Comixology and Dark Horse are teaming up to print some selected Comixology originals that are going to finally see print. So they're not, you know, they're going to be Comixology originals still, obviously, but now you just get them in your fat, chubby hands. Cool.
Yes.
Exactly, right? Like, look at these little sausages. But yeah, early 20.
I do not have baby hands.
It's like hamster hands over here. I don't know what I'm doing. So early 2021, books Afterlift, Breaklands, The Black Ghost, and a personal favorite, which I found accidentally, which is really cool, is Youth, that is going to get printed, which is really, really cool. Kurt Pyers, I believe, is how you pronounce his last name. It's kind of cool. Youth is really good. So I'm definitely going to check out The Black Ghost, Afterlift, and Breaklands. Because one of those things, like if Dark Horse is going to as pick some of these books to go into print, check them out. Might as well, you know, and don't sleep on the digital side of the house. I mean, we've talked about that numerous times on this show.
That's right.
A lot of good stuff. Lot of great stuff, man. Not even good stuff, but a lot of great stuff is digital only. So don't miss out on those good books.
Any word on our buddy Michael Conrad and Trimmer Dose coming to print?
I mentioned something on Twitter, and his response was he doesn't know. They haven't mentioned anything to him yet, him or Noah Bailey, but he kind of just said kind of like stay tuned. So maybe Tremor Dose is next in line, because I mean it's definitely has the ratings. I mean we've had him on the show before. I mean it's a phenomenal book. Yeah, I mean I'm definitely biased on that one. So excuse me, but yeah, Tremor Dose, man, look out for that one. Hopefully. IDW, this is really cool. This is actually, we just put this on the site today. The Nib, daily publication devoted to promoting political and nonfiction comics, founded by Pulitzer Prize finalist Matt Bors, is partnering with IDW for the upcoming September release of Be Gay, Do Comics, highly anticipated graphic novel anthology with over 250 pages of queer history presented through deeply personal true stories, insightful memoirs, and gut-busting satire. Yeah, so this actually looks really cool. I'm definitely going to pick it up. One, you know, always learning how to be a better ally and stuff like that too.
Definitely.
Really, really cool. And that's on the website. Tons of excuse me, more information about that. But head on over to comicwatch.com and get the full lowdown. Excuse me again. On to Marvel really quick. For you Fortnite guys and gals, Marvel is teaming up and is going to the island in September, October. Big variant covers from Joe Quesada, Ed McGuinness, Sarah Pichelli, Russell Dodderman, and more are showcasing Fortnite. Is going to be alongside cast of the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, X-Men. Check that out. It's a lot of Fortnite fans, a lot of Marvel fans, obviously. So that's kind of like one of those marriages that were probably just going to happen. It was only a matter of time before Fortnite kind of came into the comic world.
At last, Marvel is legitimized by joining the world of Fortnite.
Exactly.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they did a Thanos thing when Endgame happened. It may not be entirely new. I think I remember seeing videos on it.
Interesting. That's something to check out for sure. Happy birthday, Marvel. Marvel getting their little birthday on here, August 31st. 81 years young, kids. 81 years young. So where were you 81 years ago? Not here. Not here would be the right answer, is what you want to talk about. Now,
we might have some octogenarian listeners. You don't know that.
I apologize. That was insensitive. Okay.
Yeah.
Continuing with the Marvel news. 81 years for Marvel. We're going to have collectibles, comics, apparel, games, everything they're going to kick off with this. It'll be huge, huge celebration. And to kind of sweeten the pot a little bit, excuse me, Miles Morales Spider-Man number 18 is going to get a very super sweet retailer incentive variant by Ron Lim and kind of coordinate the celebration of the birthday. So look out for that. And what would be Marvel news without talking about Krakoa, the X-Men, Hickman, and X of Swords, and all that good stuff. Big trailer on the website, comicwatch.com. They are calling this, a crossover that's going to kind of sit on the side of Executioner Song, Messiah Complex, and stuff. So they're really ramping this up. And truth be told, this is probably the Marvel crossover, the Marvel big series that I'm actually more looking forward to. Like Empire, I was kind of like, I'm still kind of like, I'm really trying to get into it, but it's just kind of hard. As much as I love Venom and the symbiote and all that stuff, King in Black, the whole Null thing for me, exact big yawn fest. So I really need, Hickman and Krakoa, let Kitty Pryde in, hashtag.
Mike, you should just be reading Dark Knight's Death Metal and save yourself the worry. And
I am.
Have fun rocking out with the Chainsaw of Truth. And
I'm telling you, it's really good. One of my favorite things about that is favorite thing, but the fun thing about the Dark Knight's Metal is if you go in and they have like the nicknames of metal songs for the creative teams. Which is kind of cool. It's kind of needed. I don't know if I'm that old because I recognize about 90% of them. But yeah, it's like, that's good. So that
fans of a particular age, it's okay.
Yeah.
Not Nick. As he reminded us last week.
Right. Gentlemen, that's the news. Unless you guys have heard anything from the Twitter sphere or anything in editor land that I haven't
there's the new Resident Evil confirmation from Netflix happened, and that was pretty cool.
Yes.
I don't know, they didn't give a whole lot on it. I think it's going to be like they gave some premise stuff. They said it's going to be like a past and a future, so it'll be before everything happened when the Weskins, so they're kind of bringing in some characters from the video game, so I'm super psyched about that.
Very cool.
It's going to be like a before the apocalypse happened, and then kind of follow up on the characters way later when they're kind of like in their 30s, and it'll kind of have that dual storyline going on.
Cool.
And it's really cool. And it might be a good enough segue. The DC Fandome had like crazy amounts of viewers, and I was kind of excited to see it because I wasn't sure, how it would be perceived or, taken by fans. And they had 22 million global views.
Yep.
Wow.
So,
amazing.
All global. I mean, that was like huge. I mean, that's, when I read the 22 million, I'm like, good gravy. I guess that's a success right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, definitely. So it was really exciting to see it. And hopefully that's something that we'll see more of in the future, because I had fun with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess with that, let's get into our Fandom coverage. So, set the stage. Those of you who've been living under a rock don't know what DC Fandome is. We didn't have a San Diego Comic-Con this year because reasons. And DC, Warner Brothers, AT&T, whoever you want to call them, they kind of got together and they said, we should do an interactive, immersive fan experience, because they had all this stuff hyped up for SDCC. They're ready to roll, and now they had nowhere to put it. So what did they do? They did a free global streaming experience talking about new movies, new TV shows, video games, comics, this, that, and the other. So
we're going to get to that.
Yeah. We eventually got to that, right? But Jim Lee was there. Lots of other cool folks from DC were there. But I guess it's been a while since we've done anything movie centric on the show. Mm-hmm. So I'd kind of like to, if you guys don't mind, want to start off with all those trailers that we got. Nick, how about you? Which one do you want to yak about first?
I mean, I guess we should start with Wonder Woman, because that was the one they started with. They kicked things off with Wonder Woman 1984. And, the big thing for me out of that one was Cheetah, right?
Yes.
I think
yes.
that was
a takeaway.
Yeah, I think as soon as I saw that the trailer was happening, I was like, all right, we got to see Cheetah here. But this is the time to do it on DC Fandom and really kick things off. Yeah. Because we haven't seen anything. They've done so much promotional work.
Yeah, we've seen Kristen Wiig, and kind of looks like an unkempt Kristen Wiig with,
Yeah. And so I was really excited to see that, they delivered that, and it got me hyped for the rest of DC Fandom, because I was like, okay, they're going to do this here, and they're not going to just kind of hold everything, and this is just kind of like a holdover, or, something to tide the fans over until it comes out. They're going to drop some cool stuff, and I think it was a cool moment when I was like kind of apprehensive about the whole thing, and to jump into it with the Wonder Woman 1984 panel. It was really cool production. I think a lot of people I saw on social media commented that even just the stage and the interview setting was really cool, actually. And when you jump into the video, it was like, they delivered on 1984, and I think I'm super excited for that movie.
Yeah, definitely. Mike, how about you? What did you think?
For me, I mean, starting off with 1984 was, I mean, I think the right way, definitely. Yeah. But I think finally seeing a little more of Pattinson, in Batman, which I'm super hyped for. I definitely am giving him a chance, because everybody, and I mean everybody, everyone that's going to listen to this podcast, everyone that writes for Comic Watch, everybody was, discounted Heath Ledger as the Joker. We were like, oh, he's da-da-da-da-da-da. And iconic.
Yeah, from 10 Things I Hate About You.
Exactly.
Burr.
Right. But probably the next is, Cesar Romero, probably the best Joker. I mean, we can have a show about, Caesar all day if you want.
I would listen to that. I would. Not enough people. Yeah. There's not enough love for that.
But no, I thought the Batman, in seeing him, and just the whole scene with I Am Vengeance, and you saw the hair and stuff like that. By the way, Cody, hair does not matter, sir. It's Batman.
It's glorious.
And he's a young Bruce Wayne.
Exactly.
He's supposed to look like he's kind of rebellious and a punk.
Right. He's probably listening to like Death Cab for Cutie in the Batcave or something, Angry It's fine. But no, I thought Fandom overall was great. I mean, I hope that, like Nick said, man, keep this going. Even when, obviously, if, when cons pick up, maybe it's a little smaller production, but, man, you had 22 million views. They were doing Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, French. I mean, all these countries we're taking this in, and this was great, and this was something that DC really needed to do as far as hitting a home run, and they did, and they really did. And I would absolutely love to see this continue. I mean, this could turn into something so awesome. Like, I mean, the stuff that you can't fit in to a con, or maybe, you know, maybe you can gear some stuff towards like, you know, the smaller cons or something like that, and maybe kind of, you know, inject Fandom into the smaller cons or something like that, and get interactive and, you know, displays and whatever. But yeah, you know, good on DC. Really good on DC, considering what they just went through and what they're probably still, you know, shifting through the rubble. But yeah, no, Fandom was great. Loved it.
So, well, let's just break down. Let's get back to Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Because that was an awesome trailer. I don't think anyone can dispute that. And here's what's got me hyped. I mean, yeah, okay, Cheetah looks freaking great, right?
Yeah.
It's what Cheetah's supposed to look like. There's none of this, oh, they watered her down for Hollywood to make her more palatable for our audiences. No, she's a lady with fur and a tail, and she's running around fighting Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And that's what we want, right?
The lady, and it looks good. It doesn't look like it's like not finished CGI, like the Cats movie did or something like that, you know.
The whole cut.
No, she really looked cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, she legitimately did. You know, and here's another thing: we've gotten Wonder Woman's origin out of the way, and it was fantastically done.
Yep. And
now, just like with all the best superhero movie sequels, we can get down and dirty to the good stuff, right?
Yeah,
Spider-Man 2, X-Men 2, The Dark Knight, not Age of Ultron. You know what I mean? Like,
Blade 2.
It's go time, right? We can just dive into Wonder Woman kicking ass. And this trailer, from all indications, seems like it's leaning into that. The biggest question mark I think everybody has right now that we've been convinced that Cheeto is going to be cool, is how in the hell is Steve Trevor back, and how are they not going to turn it into a series of lazy 80s jokes? Yeah, there was one in there. Hey, he's got a fanny pack. He thinks it looks cool. Okay, Patty Jenkins, that's your one strike. I mean, other than that, dude, let's do this.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman 84 cannot come fast enough.
Exactly.
And let's be honest, it's also the strongest movie in the DCEU right now.
Oh, but
by a very, very wide margin. Like, I know Aquaman made an obscene amount of money globally, but it's such a tepid movie. You know, it doesn't really do anything at all that we haven't seen before. Pretty visuals, right? No. Shazam, totally like Shazam.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what they do with the sequel and more budget. But everything else, we need a redemption arc for the DCEU. And I hope we're gonna get it. Yeah. So yeah, let's move on to the Batman, right? So got Matt Reeves directing it. We know and love him from the latter two Planet of the Apes movies, right? Very talented director. He's going to do something that hadn't really been done before and make a Batman movie that focuses on detectiving. Very down. And then he does the completely weird thing of casting Robert Pattinson. And if you think people were angry about Heath Ledger or Michael Keaton or anybody that's not Cesar Romero playing the Joker, got your back, buddy.
Thank you.
The world stopped when Pattinson was announced as the Batman, right?
The internet blew up.
Here's the thing. The internet exploded, as it tends to do every other day. He has made a whole second career of doing anything and everything he possibly can to distance himself from Twilight. He's done like nothing but weird indie movies since then. He's worked with Cronenberg, doing Cosmopolis, and just a bunch of weird shit, right?
I mean, the Lighthouse.
You know what? We finally got our glimpse of him as Batman. I think he looks good. What do you guys think?
Yeah, like I said, I think it's going to be, you know, especially if we're doing a earlier Batman story, you know, and this is perfect, you know, because we haven't seen a Batman story on the big screen where it's more detective based, where it's kind of taken that different angle of Batman that really has its own, you know, fandom on itself. Because I mean, you know, that's a completely different, that's a whole nother show if we really want to dig into it. But I think this is going to be good, and I think this is exactly like I said earlier. This is Heath Ledger all over, because obviously, I mean, you know, take the internet and Facebook and Twitter and all this other stuff, all the other, you know, Reddit and everything. Take it for a grain of salt, because, you know, you really honestly, you have to search for that good, honest conversation about, you know, why are you really upset about, you know, Robert Pattinson, you know, playing Batman? Or are you just kind of trying to stoke the fire a little bit? You really have no idea why you disagree with him being Batman. But I think
it's that association of him being a glittery vampire.
Yeah. Right. Like that's, I mean, that's like so long ago. Like, doesn't it get old at this point in time? Like, we get it. Okay. Like, I'm not a fan of the books, I'm not a fan of the movies. The soundtrack is actually pretty cool, but that's a different show. But yeah, I mean, really good stuff, man. Death Cab for Cutie.
I think people just kind of like to hate, but after this trailer, most of the reaction I've seen is that everybody's loved it.
Yeah,
I haven't really seen and it's amazing because, you know, before the trailer aired, Reeves had said that they've only shot about 25% of the movie. So for them to give us a trailer like this with having such little filmed, and they had so many different villains show up in it. You know, you got the Riddler, and I guess Catwoman's technically like anti-hero or villain, however they're treating her in this one. And it had a Netflix Daredevil vibe. So it was very grounded in that. The fight scene that you get, it kind of gave me that Murdoch, almost kind of gruesome, gritty vibe to it.
Dark, really, but not grim dark.
Yeah, definitely. And the suit looks great. I mean, the more you look at the suit, the more you fall in love with it.
I need to take a closer look at it. I
just really dig into it.
On my phone, so it was kind of hard to make out.
Like his shoulder plates that look really cool, gives it an armor vibe. It feels like he can move in it more. It's not stiff or anything like that. Well, it's really cool.
Bale had that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it looks less. My issue with Christian Bale's was it kind of looked like an action figure, and this one it really feels a bit more fluid and kind of set in the world. Okay. And I think once you see it set up next to the Batmobile that we saw pictures of already, it'll really kind of like hit that ground. And I'm excited to see it. The emblem on his chest, I'm sure the story is going to come out on that one. We heard little bits of rumors, I guess, on it. I don't know if anything's confirmed about it being like the handgun that killed his parents or something like that.
I really hope it's not, because that's lame.
That's a very Kevin Smith thing. I think he pulled that off.
Oh man, I say that, and I actually did wind up liking that story in Tech 1000.
Yeah. So, you know, I think audiences will be like, "That's pretty cool." I really think that would be the general reaction. And some of the comic nerds might. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal, but I'm excited for it. But honestly, there was so much more at DC Fandom than just these two movies, really. We exited Wonder Woman 1984 and went right into the new Gotham Knights game. Oh man, I was like, are they really doing this? Like, for real? I had no idea this was coming. We had gotten the teaser for the Suicide Squad game, but I had no idea that this one was happening, and it looks so cool. Like, actually playing as the Bat Family.
That's cool.
But I don't know how much of it y'all watched, but I ended up lingering for most of the day. I didn't plan on it, but it was pretty cool. And, you know, they had the game discussions. They had, I guess, we got to talk about the Snyder Cut, because that was very
Yeah,
much
I guess we have to.
We're really, and I have thoughts on it. I have opinions on it, but I'm not as anti Snyder Cut as some of people, because that movie had a really weird time behind the scenes. And now we're seeing that Warner Bros. Has an investigation into what went on with the crew behind the scenes after Snyder left, that Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg, has had a lot to do with kind of initiating. And considering the end product and the story that we've gotten so far, I'm actually not mad that we're getting a chance to see what it, probably should have been, and that Snyder is able to come in, after all of that, after the trauma that happened with his family, and do this passion project. That's in a vacuum away from the Release the Snyder Cut fandom that has really just taken it to a whole new level. But I don't think it's such a bad thing that it's happening, and it could do cool stuff with the news that Ben Affleck's going to be in the Flash movie.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on with that. There've been other rumors that HBO is kind of looking at having their own corner of the DC universe with that Green Lantern show and bringing Ben Affleck in. They're going to have the Gotham TV series that's going to tie into the Batman show or movie, and that's going to be really cool. But there's just a lot going on, and the first day of DC Fandom was just one thing after another, and I kept finding myself I guess I'm going to watch this now. It was one of those,
Yeah. So it was almost overwhelming at times, because like you said, there was so much information just coming out, and they were just with the games and the movies and the comics and everything. It was just good on them. I'm glad it was a huge success, but hopefully we can see it again.
Right.
And we take umbrage, and again, we could go at length on the Snyder Cut. If you guys don't want a 15-minute soliloquy, and I don't want to subject you to it. I do take umbrage with calling the things that we got regarding the Suicide Squad and Black Adam trailers, because neither one of them actually had any footage from the movie.
Yeah, they were just reveals, I guess. Yeah. I don't think they were actually trailers.
That was obviously just concept art that was getting lightly animated, and Dwayne Johnson came in one afternoon and recorded some VO in one take. I mean, it gives you an idea tonally of what to expect, right?
Yeah. But there were some great surprises in it. He definitely.
ASA for life, okay?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not poo-pooing this movie at all. I do have questions about casting Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam, because yes, he's a huge box office draw and evidently a super cool guy. Yeah. But he's never really played the bad guy since the Scorpion King, which didn't really require acting.
He's played in so much, though. I mean, I guess, but he's not.
I wonder how well he can embody that role.
Yeah,
because he really talked about how much.
I'm not saying that to knock him or to say, he was poorly cast. I just, openly wondering.
Yeah, because he talked about how much he loved that Black Adam was an anti-hero.
Yeah.
So he's obviously going to take that approach, and he's already shit talking the rest of the DC universe, and it's hilarious. I'm here for that. I think he's going to bring that vibe to it, kind of the banter and back and forth that his wrestling background will give him, and I think that's going to bring that. If he just gives a slight dark edge to that, I think he'll nail it.
I think so too.
But what's going on with Superman? He teases Superman showing up, and it's is Cavill, gonna do this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know there's been a lot of rumors about him returning to the role, but just rumors, nothing concrete.
Yeah, and considering the state of Mike said, what's happened with DC and Warner Bros. At large. And then they're making these announcements, and there's a lot of confusing news going on. I felt like this was a good attempt at getting everybody hyped up, but it left a lot of questions still.
I think so. I mean, like you said, with the recent layoffs, 800 across all of Warner Brothers, many of which struck DC. That elephant in the room, to my knowledge, really wasn't addressed.
Yeah.
And I realized that this was an exercise in cheerleading and hyping and just getting your fandom pumped up. But it's disingenuous at best to not address this issue, or at least say, hey, I know you guys are probably worried right now because our monthly output is fixing to shrink to 17 books, which is the smallest it's been in over 40 years. But hey, don't worry. We have plans. This is what's happening. We're cool.
Yeah.
That doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence.
Right.
The general lack of focus on the comics themselves is also concerning to me, because that, to me, crystallizes the belief that Warner/AT&T is primarily interested in these characters as IPs.
And that was something that I was so excited to see that Jim Lee panel for, because they asked him that question.
Oh, really?
On DC Fandom. They asked about kind of, what is this view that, what is going on with the comics. And Jim Lee had spoken in an interview prior to DC Fandom where he kind of shed some more light on it, how they talked about, Warner Bros. Understands the value of them as IP and how they translate to other forms of media, and that they're definitely seeking a more digital approach. But it's easy to see in this DC Fandom schedule, what their priorities are. And I hate to be that person, but you go from Wonder Woman 1984 to the Gotham Knights announcement, and then you get to what is arguably the only comics-focused panel in The Sandman, which, as we all know, is being adapted at Netflix. So there are even other motives in the one comics panel in this one.
Yeah,
it's probably just a precursor to get people familiar with this with the comics roots of this story, so that when they start churning out media for the Netflix adaptation, it'll feel a little bit more cohesive. And there's another day planned for an all comics thing that's got a lot of cool stuff on the schedule. But
yeah, they did announce that after the fact. I guess it's in about 3 weeks or something, like mid.
Yeah, it's like mid-September, I think.
Okay. And that's good, because again, elephant in the room.
Yeah, it's on September 12th, and they're gonna have a ton of stuff. Then the Joker War, Batwoman still coming back. They got still like CW TV shows that are gonna be mixed into it.
Yeah. We haven't heard anything about the new Superman show, or Lois and Superman, whatever it's called.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're gonna have a panel, the Superman and Lois. But that was a lot of people. It's like, this is, you've got Jim Lee on. There's been a lot of turmoil at DC, and now we've got the DC Fandom that's celebrating the fans. Where are the comics?
Yes.
And as cool as everything was, that's something that it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth just a little bit after watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't say it made me go pick up an indie book afterwards, but
it's hard to be excited for the 17th Batman book on DC's new that you've never experienced before.
Yeah, because like all of our excitement for these trailers and everything, that's still true, but that's still like, what's up with the comics and what's going on here, and all of that happening at once is super conflicting. And it was fun, but it was also like, I hope things are okay.
My big hope is, and I think, I hesitate to say I predict, but I think /hope/wish that we're going to see a pretty big new publishing initiative starting in January. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to let it coincide with the end of Death Metal, because right now, pretty much all of their universe is writing on that series.
Right.
Yeah. For better or worse, depending on your opinions of the series. Mine are well known. Mike's are well known. Nick's are iffy. No, I'm just kidding.
Read it.
But I think we'll see a whole slew of new books next year.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. There's too many holes in their schedule. There's fixing to not be a Teen Titans book, or Titans, pick your poison, either. There's fixing to not be Aquaman, which, I mean, whatever, that always happens. But, you know, lots of big name characters are missing. No Hellblazer book, right? Mm-hmm. Which sucks because Cy Spurrier's run is probably the best in like 20 years.
Easily.
I mean, Batgirl, Suicide Squad, Hawkman, there's tons of them.
Hey, we didn't even talk about the sizzle reel teaser thingy for that. I got to tell you, I have all the faith in the world that James Gunn is going to make a hell of a fun movie.
Yeah.
And just seeing some of the characters that are in there, like our friend David Dastmalchian as Polka Dot Man / a bag of Wonder Bread.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh. And, you know, somebody commented to me, he's like, oh my gosh, there's so many characters. Well, it's Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
You get a cast this big, you're going to see some dead people.
Mm-hmm.
So just buckle up and have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What needs to happen with that movie? I want a Suicide Squad, the movie that is fun.
Yeah.
So I believe we got a taste of that, and you know, come on, James Gunn.
Once more, Harley proves to be one of the most versatile characters at DC.
How in the hell are they going to reconnect her in continuity from Birds of Prey?
She's just everywhere, and
but
she can do anything.
Margot Robbie as Harley.
Yep.
She takes off with any time she's on screen as that character. She shines and steals the show, and she does it effortlessly.
Yeah, so true.
So, all right. Well, there's one last little elephant in the room to talk about before we jump into Three Jokers, and that's the Snyder Cut. It's controversial. It's controversial how it got here. I don't necessarily have a lot of interest in going into all that. I just want to pick at you guys' thoughts on what we saw from this trailer. So,
I didn't like the music. Like, he used that music in Watchmen during the sex scene, I think, and it felt,
didn't he?
Yeah, it felt weird in this. I was like, it was sort of like a redemption thing. And I know everybody who had retweeted released the Snyder Cut like 100 times was just like freaking out over that. But it felt weird to me. I love the footage, though. The footage looked cool. There's a lot of new stuff that, you know, we had seen like bits and pieces of and screenshots and reels and stuff like that. Looks like all the other characters are going to be fleshed out a lot more. I mean, you got 2 extra hours of content to play with, so
yeah,
there's a lot there.
4 hours long, broken into, I guess, 4 1-hour installments or something like that.
Yeah, because he said Warner Bros. Had told him, Snyder, that they wanted the movie to be 2 hours long, and he said he thought it was a joke. He actually laughed. So it's interesting because when the movie came out under Whedon, it was exactly 2 hours long, and now we're getting to see, you know, what it could actually be, and it's cool footage. Just didn't like the music.
Yeah, Mike, how about you? What do you think of the?
I mean, I'm kind of neutral. I mean, I really, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but I really don't care either way. If the Snyder Cut gets released, if it doesn't, I mean, that's fine. I wasn't a huge fan of the first run of the movie anyway. The footage, like Nick said, the footage was cool. Yeah, the music was okay. Yeah, we've heard it before, but you know, I'm kind of like, to my famous food analogies, you know, this has become like a grilled sandwich. You can only do so much. Yeah, you can switch up the cheese and stuff like that, and that's going to make it taste different, but it's still a grilled cheese. You know, it's not, you can only do so much with it. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm going to watch it just because, I mean, you got to, right? I mean, how long we've been hearing, you know, release the Snyder Cut for like 10 years now. So, I mean, we almost we have so much time, you know, invested in this. You know, we have to watch it. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to give it a chance. But, you know, I'm kind of neutral. I'm like, if it gets released, fine. When it gets released, fine. But I'm definitely on the sidelines, just reading all the positives and all the negatives and just kind of just taking it all in. And yeah, it'll get released, you know. But like I said, I'm very middle of the road. I'm just like, whatever. You want to release it, release it. Let's do it. Let's watch it. You know, let's talk about it in, you know, 12 shows from now on the Comic Watcher show. So,
okay. Yeah, I'll keep it as succinct as I can because again, I don't want to spend a whole length of time on this. Apologizing to you guys. I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder as a director. I'm not a fan of the toxic fan entitlement that pushed this thing to happening. Yep. Having said that, okay, we are where we are now. It's coming out whether we want it to or not. Based on the footage I saw here, I think what we are definitely going to get a more coherent vision of the Justice League movie, which I think even people that like the current theatrical cut, all 9 of them will tell you that it's tonally dissonant throughout because you've got such clashing styles of director in Snyder versus Whedon. So if nothing else, we should at least be getting a more consistent movie, right? And something that's one director's vision. Whether or not that speaks to me as a fan, who knows? I'm going to watch it. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to walk in fair-minded to it. And if it's not my cup of tea, it's not my cup of tea. That's cool. Like you were saying, Mike, somebody's going to come away happy from it. Somebody's, probably going to come away pissed off. They're going to be like, release the uncut Snyder cut and give me the 6-hour version.
It's like Lord of the Rings.
That's right, damn it.
I love them.
But
so good.
We're here. I'm not a fan of the super over-reliance on CGI for everything. That's just me. I know some people are totally fine with that. So let's all try to go in with open minds and hope that we like the movie. If we don't, you know what? Somebody else is happy for it.
Sure.
Definitely.
I hope I think that's the most diplomatic way I can put it.
Yeah, that was great. That was different than what I was expecting.
No. I'm only drinking water, so so it goes.
Yeah.
So guys, we're running a little long, but that's okay. Any final thoughts on Fandom? I think we've covered just about everything under the sun.
There's just so much to talk about. A lot happened.
It really is.
It was cool. Yeah.
So, and I don't want to give short shrift to anything, but we've definitely got fodder now for lots of future episodes of the comic book show when these projects do eventually come out.
Yeah.
So, DC Fandome, 22 million fans can't be wrong.
Not in the least.
Not in the least. So rounding out our DC doubleheader, we are moving into this week's major release. 4 years in the making, Batman 3 Jokers #1 by Jeff Johns, Jason Fabok, Brad Anderson, and Rob Lay. So, set the stage for you. At the end of the Darkseid War, which Jeff Johns wrote back in 2015-2016, Batman briefly was empowered by the Metron's Mobius chair. He asked it, he's got all of the knowledge in the entire universe at his fingertip. He asks it one question: what is the Joker's real name? It tells him. We don't know what it tells him, but it tells him. And Batman's response is, that's impossible. We find out a few issues later how Jordan's talking to him about it, and Batman says, it told me there were 3 Jokers. And that's it. Batman doesn't get it. He doesn't understand why it would tell him that. He doesn't understand necessarily what it means. That mystery has now been hanging for 4 years while Jeff Johns became Mr. Hollywood for DC. Their consigliere, if you will. But it's finally unleashed. We've got Batman 3 Jokers #1 finally dealing with this mystery. Boy, I have a lot of thoughts on this comic, but guys, I really just want to hear what you think about it, because I'll just say it, I was floored by this thing. I was not prepared for how good this comic was. Like, I read it, and it was just one of those things where I had to quietly close my computer because I was reading it online, and just walk outside and just kind of sit and think, because it just affected me so much when I read it. Like, there's just so much to chew on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think not unlike Doomsday Clock, the release schedule is not going to matter in 5 years. Nobody's going to talk about how long it took 3 Jokers to get made. They're going to talk about 3 Jokers. And I really just want to point people to Matt's review. I really do, because I read it. I was lucky enough to read it before reading the book. And it kind of, I didn't mean to, but it set a challenge in front of me to like find something wrong with this book, because we've waited so long for it and it's finally here. There's a lot of anticipation. You know, what are they going to do with 3 Jokers? I think there's been a million comments on the internet, you know, 3 Jokers in this economy. You know, I think it's going to be that. But yeah, this is heavy stuff. And this is, you know, this is what we read DC Comics for, right? And
what we read comics for.
Yeah. Yeah. It handles the weight of the history really well. And I think that's the part I didn't see coming, was how much tact it had in handling all of this history with Batman and all of the impacts of the character and treating Joker like a force of nature. And it really takes that concept to a whole other level. And I don't know how much into spoiler territory we need to get, but I mean, it's really just it's not a book that you just like want to recommend. It's just must read material. And it's a book that's going to stand the test of time, I think. Like after 1 issue, just right there already, you can see what it's going to be, you know?
Oh, easily. And it was kind of funny because when I read Matt's review, we're going to just kind of, you know, pick on Mr. Matt here.
Yeah.
And I remember, you said 10 out of 10. You think, I think something like you said, like it like execution is perfect. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with this book. Just kind of paraphrase. But yeah, there really is nothing wrong. I mean, when I was kind of with the mindset of, okay, we're finally getting 3 Jokers. Oh, okay, fine, sure. It'll be in my full box because it's a Batman store. And yeah, I'll skim through. Yeah, whatever. But reading the review, I was like, there's no way he gave 10 out of 10. Like, really?
To be clear, I do not issue 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
right.
It's true.
You're saying when you issue a 9 or a 10 as a reviewer, you're basically saying this comic couldn't be improved in any way.
Right.
Like 9s and 10s from me as a reviewer are just very, very rare. I don't know that I think I've issued like 1 other 10 out of 10 in the 2 years I've been writing for Comic Watch. So for a little perspective.
Right. And so that's what kind of had me floored. And I'm like, oh, well, interesting. Okay, so maybe I won't, when I get this book, take it back to the casa and just kind of maybe just throw it on the kitchen table and like I'll get to it, you know. But when I read it and I sat down, I kind of did what Matt did. Like I had to like almost pause because I wasn't ready for what we were getting almost treated to. Like it, I mean, it's definitely Batman lip service to the fan, which is great because there really is nothing wrong with this book. And it, like Nick said, it's going to stand the test of time. Like already this is going to be something that's going to be talked about, and no one's going to give a rip of how long it took to get here to this point. We're here, we have this book, and I'm just going through the panels and you know, kind of, you know, I don't want to do the spoiler thing, but you know, opening the panels and you're going over Batman's wounds and just the different pictures and the scars and the ending. I'm still kind of like, wow, is that really like it's a perfect ending, but yet it's almost that ending that makes you want to throw the book across the room because you're going, I gotta wait how long for issue 2, you know. And to me, what kind of blew me away is the fact of how great issue 1 was. What's in store for the next 2 books? Like, what are we going to get in these next 2 books? I mean, and I was just thinking, I was kind of almost like jotting stuff down. Are we going to get a big reveal? Are we going to get something that's going to blow, you know, the Bat fandom out of the room? Are we going to get something huge? Are they going to build on what the chair told him? Like what? And I was just like, okay, now I understand why that 10 out of 10, the review, and I even went back and reread the review again, adding to the clicks. But
thanks.
no worries. But yeah, and just going through that, and I'm just like, this is marvelous. Like, this is what you wait for. And then, you know, yeah, it took a long time to get here, but when it's all said and done, and that, you know, that collected hardcover, you know, edition is coming out, and everyone's going to be like, oh, you're buying it again? Yes, because I have the 3 issues. Now I need the deluxe hardcover version with extra sketch covers in the back, and I need to know what Jason Fabok ate while he was drawing this book, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I'm buying the deluxe version when it comes out, because this book is just that damn.
Then you need to get the absolute edition.
Exactly. And then I'm buying it on Comixology because you just need to. Yeah.
So for me, like, the thing that first grabbed me, and this is right off the bat, the first, I don't know, however many is 8 or 10 pages that are 99% silent, right?
Yeah.
That is a master class in how to convey a story without words. And I'm going to use a pretty heady comparison. The first 5 minutes of Pixar's Up. Right, same thing. You basically told this whole story with no words, and it's flawless. Like that 5 minutes of movie could be its own thing, and you wouldn't need the rest of the movie but for the funny talking dogs, and you'd have this perfect little short, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
To me, that's exactly what the first 8 or 10 pages of 3 Jokers is. You get the full story of Batman, Bruce Wayne, Alfred Pennyworth, his villains and how he relates to them, and the toll that his crusade takes on him every single night. And you basically, you know, you could hand this to somebody who doesn't know how to read, and they would immediately understand everything you need to know about Batman. Wow. It's that flawlessly executed. And I don't just say that to hear myself talk. I say it because I truly believe it. Jeff Johns is on an entirely different level when it comes to crafting comics. And part of me misses getting a monthly Jeff Johns book, you know? Green Lantern represent, man. JSA, Hawkman, hell yes. Dude's my guy. And it makes me sad that we don't get to see him every month, but that makes these moments when he does appear for Doomsday Clock or 3 Jokers that much more special, because we know we're getting something that was worth waiting for. It's not just going to be some shameless cash grab or a throwaway comic that you read and file away and forget about. It's going to be something of worth, something that speaks to not just his talents of a writer, but where the medium can only go as a comic, right?
Yeah.
That's what you get when you get this comic, is something like this couldn't be duplicated faithfully on film. It just couldn't. Not in the same impact, right? Having said that, my God, Jason Fabok is a oh my GOSH, you guys. This guy, like, we knew he was good, right? But little things, and I'll point you guys to the variant cover with Batgirl's face, right?
Yeah.
It's got that little light blood spatter on her face, and there's just this look in her eyes and the slight way that her lips are just barely parted, right?
Yeah.
And it conveys all of these complex emotions all at once: anger, hurt, fear, determination, all together, right?
Yeah.
How many other artists can truly do that?
Yeah.
I can't think of very many. I really can't. There's so much going on with that cover, and just stuff like this is happening all throughout. And I mean, that's not even getting to the actual 3 Jokers. And yes, there are 3 Jokers running around for some reason. We don't know why. We don't know what's going on there. But Jeff Johns is smart enough that he doesn't hold that back from us. Like, it's right there. It's the title of the book. By God, page 20, there's your 3 Jokers. Yep. Have your cake. and spend the next however long waiting for issues 2 and 3 to maybe find out what the hell's going on. Right? And that circles back around to the thing about it that really does grab me most. This is a mystery. Like, this is about that elemental relationship between Batman and the Joker, sure, but it's a mystery. No. Batman has no freaking clue what's going on right now. And it's not the type of thing where you can go back and reread this issue and have at least an inkling as to where we're going with this, right? No. It's shit. I don't know. I have to have the next issue of this right now. Yeah. And to me, that, like, all those things put together is just the mark of creators at the absolute peak of their power. And man, if that means we have to wait to get something of this caliber, if it means we have to wait 4 years, so excuse me, so be it. But man, do not sleep on 3 Jokers. Don't think it's empty hype. It's not. It's legit. Yeah.
It's great, and it's got the premise that, like I said, is gonna stand up. And whether or not it's remembered, in glory or maybe not so much, and how it sticks a landing on what's happening with this.
You do have 2 more issues in which they could completely screw it up. I don't think
as strong as this is,
all I'm being cool.
Yeah, I do think that it's going to be memorable. No matter what we're dealing with here, this is a memorable point in DC Comics history, in Batman history. I think it's something that people are going to point to, that, it follows that trajectory. It's a next step forward for this Batman, the Bat family, the lore, everything is right here. And, for better or worse.
Points that future generations look at as, definitive Batman stories. Killing Joke, Nightfall, Arkham Asylum, that sort of thing. I really think Jokers has, at least in the first issue, the DNA to stand head and shoulders amongst those works.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And the great thing, I mean, other than, Fabok being extremely just detailed and everything, one of the things I do like about 3 Jokers is it just came to the party knowing that it's going to be a phenomenal story. Like, it didn't have to, there's no build up, right? You didn't, obviously, it was built up because we waited 10 years to get here. But it just felt like when you opened it from that first page and it was just art, there was no words, you're like, oh, so this is how it's okay. And then you just dove into it, and it just started kind of like smacking you around, and you're like, this, okay, fine, yeah, this is good. But I just don't see, like you guys said, I don't see how this is not required reading already. Now granted, if issue 2 sucks, we come back, we revisit what we said in the show. And we have the show from the archives, because we never had it. We never said it. But I really just, I don't see 2 or 3. I just, like I said, I am marveled how it ended, and I can't wait for 2 or 3. I can't even fathom what's going to be in 2 or 3 if this is what issue 1 went to.
Totally. I'm down with that. Yeah. So, okay, well, with that, we're actually pushing up against the hour, but I think we've got time to do some quick hits on what we're reading and what we're looking forward to. So, Mike, no running at the mouth this time. No, I was playing. The pot colored kettle black. So, Mike, what have you been reading? What are you looking forward to?
Finished up Hellboy Weird Tales, which is kind of a cool thing. That was it's pretty rad. But mostly what I'm jazzed about, obviously, as I talk about it every other couple of weeks, is Bliss 2 came out yesterday, which has definitely been a huge book, only 2 issues in. It's by Image, really cool, and issue 2 had a pretty decent ending that is bringing in a Greek mythology type of vibe to it, to the whole story, which is kind of rad because I'm really into Greek mythology, so I thought that was kind of cool. Looking forward to Firepower 3 is coming out. What? So looking forward to that. Absolutely.
Awesome. That's another one we liked. Go figure.
Yeah.
Nick, what about you, buddy? What have you been reading? What are you looking forward to?
Now, oddly enough, I started reading Power Rangers comics. I had no idea this was coming. It kind of blew me away. That's like random stuff. I was like, it's very nostalgic. It's like very early stuff. I was pretty young when Power Rangers hit, so I did grow up with it. And I started with the Ranger Slayer. It's like the Pink Ranger. It was a great way to jump me into it because it's kind of badass. Ranger Slayer, it's Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, who's in more of a post-apocalyptic sci-fi garb. Got her bow, and she's going around like hitting these like undead rangers in the eye with their arrow and like killing them and stuff like this. So it's kind of a horror influenced story. And I was like, oh man, what am I missing here? So now I'm back like in 2016 with the reboot started from Higgins, and I'm like volume 2 now. Perot's doing the newer stuff and he's got the newer volume coming out. So like I'm knee deep into that for some reason now, and it's pretty fun. I'm having fun with it.
Nice. That's good stuff.
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to, there's not a lot, I think, coming from the big two. Dark Horse has got Spy Island #1.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. And I'm going to read Bang because Bang #3 is coming out.
Oh, my thunder. Yes,
I'm saying this to make it a real thing so I can do it before this issue comes out because I've been needing to do that.
Definitely need to be reading Bang by Matt Kent if you're not. It is. Yeah. It's on a whole nother level. Me, in terms of reading, my habits haven't strayed from the last couple weeks. A lot of Iron Man, a lot of Captain America. But I will say I wrapped up this first season of Stargirl. Caught the last 4 episodes, which I had been lingering on. I just don't have an unkind word to say about this show. It's so fun. It is. I'm hoping that now that Arrow is finished, that the CW DC shows kind of take their tone from Stargirl because it's just so fun. It's all ages friendly. I watched it with my 9-year-old. She absolutely adored it. I loved it because there's all kinds of great JSA stuff going on, and it's just a well-written, well-directed, well-acted, fun show. So definitely, don't be fooled. Stargirl rocks. What am I looking forward to? We've got from Boom Studios, Al Ewing writing "We Only Find Them When They're Dead" this week. Oh boy, I've been waiting some years for Al Ewing to step out and do an indie book, and this sounds epic, and I cannot wait.
Boom is doing such cool work, man. Like
Al Ewing, he's such a unique voice at Marvel, but at the same time, he's never been that guy that's been given like the event comic to write or the A-lister. You know what I mean? I mean, other than Immortal Hulk, which sort of is one of those happy accidents. But yeah, I've been waiting for him to get a chance to truly shine and show on a grand canvas what he's capable of, because he's a phenomenal talent. So that's it for us. We're wrapped up. This has been episode 96 of The Comic Watchers Show. We are, of course, part of the comic-watch.com family. You should also check out our sister shows, Valiant Watch, which Nick is on, and Mutant Watch, which is kind of newer. We've all kind of been there alternatively. Great stuff. Yep. That show's always live as well when it comes on Saturdays. So check it out. Check out the site. Thank you all so much for listening. And till next time, we'll see ya. Support your LCS.
Yeah.